am located in office number 1504, which is right this side of the cantina. We are working out of an office right now, but if you need help with anything, come in and we will do what we can to help you. We will help you get articles for your research. We will teach you how to do a search and find articles by using the databases that we subscribe to. We'll basically do everything except we won't write your paper for you. And I won't decide which articles you need to use. That's your job. What I'm here today for is to teach a class in professional writing. We're going to cover two main topics, which are copyright issues and plagiarism. I know you're thrilled to hear that. All right, I thought we'd start first of all with something fun. I brought a pop quiz. I said fun. So what I'm going to do is get some people from the front row to come help pass these out. Now, I believe you have a sign-up sheet going around. Make sure that we get that at the end, otherwise you have to sit through this again. Make sure you've signed it and that you give it back to either me or Miss Mannings or whomever is in here that looks like they're in charge, okay? All right, if I could have you, and you, and how about the two on the back? Just come forward until you meet up and everybody gets a test. Go ahead and start answering the first side of it, the plagiarism quiz.
I don't know if I get together. I think you did. Just like right on the other side into the extremes.
Thank you. Was there anyone that did not have a quiz? Give you a few minutes to work through that. See what you know about plagiarism before we start. No looking at the people's paper next to you.
Want to talk about it?
Time's up, pencils down. We'll take a grade on this at the end of the class. Okay. See my hands? They are empty. I did not bring my phone with me. I would ask that you put your phone away, just out of common courtesy and respect. Any questions? All right, let's talk about professional writing. Now, you have started in a career that is absolutely one of the most respected careers that there can be. Whether you feel that way right now or not, I am telling you that your career choice as a nursing or healthcare worker is absolutely one of the most revered careers because of the absolute power that you have to help people. Not just in the physical realm, but also in the spiritual and the mental realm. So it is very important that you live up to your codes that are expected of you, to the parameters that are set for your career. Honesty, respect, dignity, absolutely are key to keeping that feeling in the public of your career. Now we listen today, we listen to the news, and we know. I mean, I've always held policemen in the highest regard. They protect our lives. But we know what a process they're having to go through right now. Please make sure that you do your part to keep healthcare workers, the attitudes toward them in such high regard. It is so important. I come from a lifelong career in education. I taught for 23 years in the elementary classrooms, and then I became a principal and did that for quite a few years, and then I retired. But I can tell you, educational people were held in high regard, and yet we know that they get their detractors, don't they? You make a parent angry about something and your name is mud, that kind of thing. Be sure that you are always at the top of your game. That's my little speech. What I want to do today is to help you maintain that regard through your professional writing. You're going to, whether you want to or not, have to do professional writing. I don't think there's too many careers that are not degreed that don't have to do professional writing. Whether you do it in your schooling or whether you do it when you get out and into the work world, you're still going to be expected to do professional writing. I can't tell you how many times I get phone calls from nurses at the hospital. They're looking to try to get some type of policy changed, or they're looking to see what is the best practice in a certain type of situation. And so they have to, if they want to see some change made, they have to prove their point, and they have to prove their point by writing. And then presenting that, and then letting the people that make the big decisions decide. So everything's going to depend on how well you do your professional writing. Whether you want to or not, you've got to do it. And I want you to do it the correct way. You'll have to excuse me. I get very hot, so I reserve the right to blot. Okay, professional writing 2016. Now at any time, if I cover something and you need a little extra clarification, raise your hand. I'm open to anything. If I'm talking too fast, let me know. If I'm boring you to death, tough luck. You're stuck. Okay? Those are my rules. All right, and no phones. Here we go. First of all, we're going to talk about copyright. Now, copyright, I'm sure you've all heard of copyright issues. You may not have heard of them so much in the nursing or healthcare world. You've heard of them, I know, in songwriting. You're, probably 9 times out of 10, one of your favorite musicians that you've heard of has been sued because his music was supposedly plagiarized, and someone's taking it and saying that, I had it copyrighted, that kind of thing. So you've heard of this. Let me try to do a little bit of explaining about it. First of all, the definition. Copyright is the exclusive legal right to reproduce, publish, sell, or distribute the matter and form of something, such as a literary, musical, or artistic work. And the key to that is the legal right. If you're going to distribute it or sell it or publish it or reproduce it, you have to make sure that you have the legal right to. Otherwise, you can be taken to court and you will have to pay in one way or another. Copyright is granted through a legal process in which the creator or copyright seeker obtains the legal right to copy the work. And this is from the law, the Act in Title 17 of the U.S. Code. Copyright control can be sold, bought, or obtained by a financing entity. And we hear of that happening all the time. Who owned the copyright issue of Elvis Presley? The Michael Jackson estate. Who owns Michael Jackson's rights? I'm not sure, but they have been sold. So you hear of this in your everyday world. You just have to relate it to what you're doing in your writing. If you want to copy something or distribute it or any of those issues, then you have to obtain the legal right to. You can't just say, ooh, that looks good, I'm going to copy it and hand it out to my classmates. You can't do that. Okay, copyright terms can expire. For instance, a lot of things that are copyrighted way back years ago, that term has run out and now there is no copyright, so you can in effect use some of those things, but you better make sure that you know that that copyright no longer exists, okay? All right. There is such a thing called fair use, a legal doctrine that portions of copyrighted materials may be used without the permission of the copyright owner, provided the use is fair and it's reasonable and it does not substantially impair the value of the materials and it does not curtail the profits reasonably expected by the owner. You know as well as I do, they're interested in getting the money for whatever they did, for whatever project they produced. So if you do something that impairs them getting the money for it, then you are liable to be sued for copyright violations. Fair use basically uses 4 factors to decide. This is what the courts will use to decide is, do you have the right to use that under fair use? The purpose and character of the use of the copyrighted work. For instance, why did this person create this project? Was it for education? Was it for entertainment? What was the purpose of the original work? The nature of the copyrighted work. How is it presented? Is it a digital work? Is it a written work? That type of thing. How much of the copyrighted work is used? There's a percentage that most courts of law go by. And if fair use defendants have gone over that percentage of what they used of that project, it may not be good for them because you can't take the majority of a piece of work that's copyrighted and just use it for your purposes. And the 4th one is the effect of the use on market or the value of the copyrighted work. They're going to look and see how much you detracted from the value of that work by you spreading it out, or you handing it out, or you using it for whatever purpose you're going to use. Okay, and then in order to avoid copyright infringements, you need to ask permission of the copyright holder to use the work in whole or in part for whatever your purposes are. There are form letters that you can find, and you can actually just find out who the copyright belongs to, fill out the letter, and send it to the copyright owner to see if they would allow you to use that copyright. Do not expect that to be a fast process, because sometimes it may take months for them to get back to you. So if you're intending to use a work that's copyrighted, then you need to make plans for getting the permission for using that, not just next week, okay? You can send a letter, as I said, and if you get a response from them granting you permission to use it, then by all means, please put that letter in a file somewhere and keep it safe. Because if you're ever questioned after that, you can pull it out and say, but I have permission to use it. Don't throw it away. Even after you've used it, I wouldn't throw it away. I would keep it. Okay, and then don't wait until the last minute. Okay? All right, let's talk about plagiarism. This is the main topic today. Plagiarism is in the news this week, isn't it? I bet if you turned on the TV or radio, you heard the word plagiarism. Why? Melania Trump has been accused of plagiarizing Michelle Obama's speech. Michelle Obama made the speech at the Democratic Convention in 2008, and then Melania Trump made her speech this week, and someone said, wait a minute, that just sounds a little bit too much like something we've heard before. I'm not here to say whether it was or not. That's not my place. I'm just saying it is prevalent in today's world. The accusations of plagiarism are prevalent in today's world. Barack Obama himself has been accused of plagiarizing. Joe Biden has been accused of, you do know who Joe Biden is, been accused of plagiarizing. There have been umpteen, now tell how many people that have been accused of plagiarizing. Now whether they did or not, that's not my place to say. That's for a court of law to say. Helen Keller, you know who Helen Keller is? Helen Keller was accused of plagiarism. I am telling you that in the world, you can possibly be accused of plagiarism. Your job as a professional writer is to make sure that you do not plagiarize. Okay? That's what I'm here to help you learn about today. First of all, what is plagiarism? The act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person. The act of plagiarizing something. An act or instance of plagiarizing. Something could be plagiarized. Okay? And when we talk about something, we generally are talking about words in speeches or books or songs or any number of things. But it can also be, what a lot of people don't realize, it can also be that the idea has been plagiarized. Not just the exact words, but the idea that some person came up with has been taken and used in another document for, and not, no one was given credit for it. The original person that came up with that idea was not given credit for. That is something you need to guard against as well. All right, we've talked a little bit about why nursing and healthcare students should not plagiarize. We've talked about why healthcare workers are so highly idolized. And you may not feel like that, but I will tell you, if I am sick and I have to go to the hospital, or I have to take one of my loved ones to the hospital, I absolutely want to know that those people that take care of them are the best possible people they can be. I absolutely want to know. Don't you feel the same way? Okay, that's a biggie. All right, nursing and healthcare professionals exhibit high ethical values. Baptist Student Code, which we'll read in a little bit, talks about ethical values. The Baptist hospital, at every hospital in it, the Baptist system expounds ethical values. That's part of our credo that we adhere to when we come to work at Baptist. And you as a student are expected to adhere to those values as well as the employees. Another reason, plagiarizing can lead to other deceptions. And this is that way with any type of crime. You know, it may start out small, but then, oh, I got away with it this time, maybe I can get away with it the next time. You've seen that particular thing happen, haven't you? If you have kids, I know you have. Okay, so you've got to understand that just because, you got away with a little something that you copied one time doesn't mean that the next instructor won't catch it, or the next student sitting beside you won't catch it, or whomever won't catch it. You don't want to think, oh, I can get away with it, I did before. Not doing the work could lead to the inability to pass a licensure exam. In my opinion, this is one of the biggest problems, okay? Think of the healthcare worker that's sitting and saying, oh, you know, this is due tomorrow. I don't have time to do it. Let me just get on the internet and Google something. Okay, they're going to Google it. They're going to copy and paste it. They're going to do whatever and turn it in. Now, there will come a time when that same healthcare worker will come to the end of their student time and they'll have to pass a licensure exam in order to get a job. What if that licensure exam has questions that deal with what that student cut and pasted work for? That student didn't actually study it, he didn't actually or she didn't actually read it, they didn't actually write a paper on it like they were supposed to, they just used Google and cut and pasted it. Do you think they're going to be able to pass that licensure exam? Probably not. Do you want that person to come to your hospital bedside and say, I'm here, lean over, whatever? No, I don't want to see them in my room. If they plagiarized, if they didn't do everything they were supposed to do with their own mind, strength, and power, I don't want to see them. If they can't pass their licensure exam, I'm sorry, they don't get a job. I'll see you at McDonald's again. Okay? It can affect your performance on whether or not you actually get through your education successfully and get out into the work world and do what you decided you want to do as a career. Relationships with peers could be damaged because of the lack of trust in the integrity of the student. Believe me, I taught school many years. I pretty much know all the ways people can cheat. And I pretty much know that the cheaters are known by the other people in the class, aren't they? I don't want them sitting by me. I don't want to be the stoolie that goes and tells on them, but if that's what I have to do to keep that person from trying to treat me later in life, you know, he might have control over treating my child or one of my loved ones or me myself. I don't want that person getting into the healthcare field when that person is not, you know, doesn't have the integrity that they're supposed to have, or the honesty, or they don't follow the code, okay? And then, first of all, and then last of all, again, ask yourself, would I want to be taken care of by someone who cheated to get through school? That's the bottom line. Would you, or would you want your loved ones to be taken care of by someone that cheated? I don't. I don't have to stop and think about that at all. Get out. I don't want to see you again. Okay? Any questions on that part? Here's the honor code. I'm sure that your instructors have gone over this with you before, but we're going to go over it again. Oh, I should have changed that to BHCLR. Excuse me, I thought I changed them all, but I missed this one. BHCLR recognizes that education of healthcare professionals must take place in an atmosphere that leads to professionalism and competence in the chosen field. The honor code has been incorporated into the overall educational experience and focuses on our values of service, honesty, respect, stewardship, and performance. Students are expected to abide by the honor code, applying it to all aspects of student life. Documented and confirmed evidence of a student's failure to abide by the student honor code will result in appropriate corrective action. Okay, now this is the student honor code. There is also an employee honor code that says basically the same thing. And all institutions are going to have an honor code like this, whether it's an educational institution or whether it's where you work and draw your pay. Be truthful and honest, submitting written assignments which contain and reflect independent effort, safeguarding the property of others. In other words, don't let other people see other people's work. Don't hand out anything you're not supposed to. Respect the rights of others, and report violations of the student honor code. Nobody's gonna, you can do that quietly, anonymously, whatever, but if you see someone not following through with the honor code, please let us know. Again, we don't want to further the education of someone that is not deserving of that honor. Acknowledging the work or ideas of others. That means you are going to give credit where credit's due. Behaving according to the Baptist Health Code of Ethical Conduct. Now that's what the employees go by. Protecting patients and the public at large, and doing your own work for courses, not cheating on examinations or tests. All right, here's the crime and punishment part. If plagiarism happens in an academic institution, which BHCLR is, then the institution usually handles the situation. In other words, the people that are in charge here are going to make the decision of, did you cheat? Is there proper evidence that you did? And then if so, then they're going to make the decision of what will happen to you, what your punishment will be. On the other hand, if plagiarism involves money, like out in the real world, prizes or job placement, it is usually handled through a court of law. Same thing, the judge, the jury, whomever, will make the decision according to the evidence, and then the punishment will be decided. In an academic situation, zero tolerance is spelled out in the institution's policy handbook. That's what we just read. Zero tolerance means don't do it at all. If you do it at all, you're in trouble. Academic standards can often be higher or stricter than copyright laws, and copyright laws are pretty strict. Academic plagiarism can result in either the failure of the assignment that the plagiarism was done on, or the failure of that particular class, or dismissal from that program, and or dismissal from the school and institution. And if you're dismissed for plagiarism, you don't get a second chance, okay? And that will follow you if you try to go to another institution. That's just the way the world works. So, in other words, if you're, someone is attempting to plagiarize, then they could end their career right there. And that would be sad, wouldn't it? It's not worth it, is it? The legal punishment, back in the real world, misdemeanor means you could have a fine from $100 to $50,000 or up to 1 year in jail. If it goes up to be a felony, it could be from $2,500 to $250,000 and up to 10 years in jail. It's not worth it, is it? Don't attempt it. Don't even think about it other than to think, I'm not going to do it. There are no excuses for plagiarism, okay? You can still be found guilty of plagiarism even if you didn't know about the law. Even if you'd never sat through a class on it, even if you had no idea what plagiarism was, you can still be sued for it. You can still be held accountable for it. There are no excuses for, oh, I didn't know. Too bad. Okay? You are held accountable. There is a good faith defense that people do try to use when they are talking about the fair use that I talked about a while ago. It may lessen the punishment that is doled out, but it will not exonerate a person completely from being accused of plagiarism, from being held accountable for plagiarism. Okay? So even though you do use the fair use, you can be found guilty of plagiarism. All right, proper citations would take away all doubt. That's all you have to do. How can you avoid plagiarism? Give proper citations. Give credit where credit is due. That's an easy fix. Is it time consuming? It can be. Is it a little bit hard? It can be. Is it worth it? Oh yes. Okay? Take the time, give credit where credit's due, don't plagiarize. Common knowledge is something that's considered to be material that is, you can find that information in 5 different credible sources. Okay? For instance, if I said George Washington was the first president of the United States, you could go to 5 different credible sources and prove that, couldn't you? That's an easy one. So if you have a wonder, is this common knowledge? Can I use this as common knowledge and not cite it? Then you have to ask yourself, could I go to 5 different sources and find this? 5 different credible sources and find this? If you can't, then you need to cite it. Give that person that originated it credit for what they came up with. If you're in doubt, or I can find it in 4 places, should you just use it? No. Cite it. I mean, it just takes a little bit more effort. Give credit where credit is due. If you wrote something, would you just want any and everybody to use it? Sure, take it, whatever? No, I wouldn't. I would want to at least have credit given to my ideas. If I wrote something like a book or a song, I want them to put my name as being the author. So, put yourself in the creator's position. Give them credit for what they did. Okay? Always, these are the things that you're always going to need to cite. You always cite print materials. If you get, a quote from a book, you're going to cite it. You're always going to cite electronic sources. If you use the internet and you get something that you're going to use in your paper from the internet, you have to cite the web page. I don't know how to cite a web page. Oh, well, there are places you can go to learn how. You ever heard of APA book? APA website? Look at the back of your quiz that I gave you. There are lots of places listed, URLs listed there that will give you helps to citing material. I want you to add one right now that I didn't put on there. It's not necessarily, it will help you. It's called Citation Machine. Now, this is the one time I'll tell you it's okay to use Google. Go to Google, type in Citation Machine in the search box and search, and it's going to be at the top of the list under the ads for that's where you need to go. It will help you learn how to cite. It's one of those that you can actually write down, the title. It'll tell you title and you type it in, and authors' names and you type them in. And then when you hit the end, it will actually arrange it for you. However, remember that you must have APA clicked, because there's APA and MLA and a whole bunch of others. You make sure that anything you do is APA. Okay, there's like a drop box that you can choose from those things. Make sure you're using APA. The OWL at Purdue. All major universities in the United States are going to have some type of writing help. Go to their webpage, and they have writing help. But one of the best ones is the OWL at Purdue. Purdue is the university. They just named their little guide the OWL, so everybody goes to the OWL at Purdue. I gave you the website. Again, you could Google it if you didn't know that. You could just Google OWL at Purdue, and it will actually bring up how the citations should go. Just make sure, again, that you have APA as what you're going to use, because it offers all of those different writing styles too. So be very careful on that. Some of you may actually have in your Word program, if you bought one that is, super good, you may have the option in your Word program to use citing helps, and make sure you have APA on that up at the top taskbar, okay? All right, so don't forget those on the back as helps. You also have to cite images from the web, and a lot of people goof up on this. They think, oh, well, it was on Google Images, I can use it. No, you can't. No, you can't. You've got to cite it. Well, it didn't have any information. Then don't use it. Okay? You've got to cite it if you use it. You can't just say, well, it's on the internet, because I will tell you there's a whole lot on the internet that's not ethical and not necessarily something you want in your research paper. All right, you've got to cite lectures. If you're sitting in a lecture and your instructor gives you a golden thought there and you think, ooh, that would go just great, that's fine, use it, but give credit to your instructor. Use it as a quote or use it as giving credit for that idea. Okay, and again, these places that I'm giving you to help will tell you how to cite someone that you heard it in a speech or a lecture. And then discussion boards, and you guys probably don't use discussion boards here so much, but people that do online degrees and basically have to deal with discussion board, you know what I'm talking about with discussion board? They have to do a lot of work group through their discussion boards. And so if you get an idea or if you get a quote from a discussion board, you have to cite it as well. And again, these places will give you the information for how you cite it. The APA, I don't know if I wrote it down, but APA itself has a website. And it certainly would tell you how to cite any information you need. Any questions so far? You've got to stop me if you do. All right, these are the types of plagiarisms that can happen when the sources are not cited. For instance, someone might turn in a complete work and claim complete credit for it and never cite anybody. Now that's kind of stupid because you know your instructor's going to pretty much catch on to that. But it happens. Copying major portions of another text, no alterations are made. You know, you might go to the internet and find just the paragraph you need, and ooh, I'm going to put this in my paper. I couldn't have said it better. I'm going to copy and paste.